Hey, welcome back to the JMFG podcast. I want to thank everybody. Hey, I know we're a day late on this release, but it was kind of planned. I wish I'd have gave all the listeners and viewers, I wish I'd have gave you guys a heads up, but it kind of worked out. Reason why is because my buddy, we played golf today with the Brotherhood of Warriors, of course, and we're going to talk about this thing right here later during the show. But I just wanted to say and apologize to everybody. We're sorry we're late, and the reason why we're late, I'm going to blame it all on my next guest, even though it's not. But anyways, my next guest coming down from Camp Lejeune area, and it's a good drive for him, but we had a planned date to play golf today, so instead of releasing yesterday, I figured, hey, don't want my buddy to drive 2 hours then drive back, so I figured we can do it all, knock out two birds with one stone. So what we ended up doing was waiting to the day, so we're knocking this thing out tonight. It's already about 9 o'clock, but we had a great day of golf today, and my next guest, before I introduce him, like I always do before the show, I want to thank all the viewers, all the subscribers, everybody that's seen the show. I hope you guys are getting some out of it. I'm still getting great positive feedback, not only from the listeners, subscribers, but from people that are going through some of the same things that my guests are going through. Last week we had Thomas Robinson on, and I got to say, hey, Thomas, thanks again for coming on the show. I know it's hard for you to talk about the things that you talk about, battling cancer, surviving cancer twice. So shouts out to you and your family, your wife that stood by your side, your rock that was there for you. And I just want to let everybody know that's going through cancer or might just got tested or found out they have cancer. Hey, like Thomas said, that's not the end of the world. Don't let cancer determine how you live the rest of your life, and nothing else. Beat that thing and keep driving forward. And for anybody out there that does have cancer, hey, my thoughts and prayers go out to you and your family. Live your life to the fullest. Don't let cancer consume you. Don't let it determine what you do with the next chapter in your life. But having said that, thank you guys again. Now I'd like for my next guest to introduce himself. He's a real good friend of mine. I'm going to let him introduce himself, and then we'll go more into depth about how we met and all that good stuff. And with no further ado, I turn the mic over to my boy.
Yep, I'm Ryan Rogers. I'm the host of Choices Not Chances podcast. Me and Johnny go way back to the beginning of when we started playing golf with Brad, and we just really hit it off. We both hunt, we both fish, we both like to try to get the community's voice to be heard, and we both like to give back to our community, the communities in which we come from. So we hit it off, 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah, almost 8 now.
Almost 8. So
yeah,
going since then, dealing with all that comes with Johnny Glenn. Yeah.
So having said that, hey, the reason why I also waited is because at the end of this, hopefully we can get a picture out too. I got a chalkboard wall, and I make all my guests sign it. And Ryan is a 10th guest because, like he said, lucky number 10. But also, like I said before, we golfed today, which I think my team might have won. Just throwing it out there.
It was a tie. It was a tie.
But I will say this: my boy Ryan got close to the pin today.
Yeah.
And he did give me this right here. So Brad, hey, Shrek designed this. Shrek's another Brotherhood of Warrior. I had him on. I think Shrek was like episode 6 or 7, if I'm not mistaken.
7.
What did I say? 7? 6. So Shrek was episode 6, and if you haven't saw episode 6 with Shrek, please go check that out. His name's actually Robert Harrell, but don't call him that. That's just, it don't fit him.
He don't like it.
Yeah, he don't like it. But anyways, Shrek made this. He drew it. It's his design. And I also want to send a shout out to Shrek today. He's on his way back home, and he's actually getting his Indian name.
Yeah. He's having a whole ceremony out there with the tribe. Yeah.
So he's going in a sweat box or whatever. I think a sweat box.
Some kind of jersey.
I was like, dude, you're gonna come out of there. You're gonna be like this big. But anyways, he said that the tribe, Indian tribe, medicine man or whoever, I guess.
Yeah.
He'll go in the sweat box, come out, and then that's how he gets his Indian name. So I'll get something like Shaka Zulu or something.
I hope it's great.
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably pretty good.
We'll see.
Yeah. So my boy Ryan, he's pretty humble. Ryan says he's the host of Choices Not Chances podcast, which I've been on Ryan's show twice. Had a great time.
You've been on 3 times, baby.
Has it been 3 times?
It's been 3 times.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because you came on right before you went and dove in Saipan.
Yep, that's right. I totally forgot about that one. Mm-hmm. But anyways, the reason why I'm here today is because, Ryan plays a big part in that, and he knows it because he's the first one who told me, you should start a podcast. Mm-hmm. I was like, nah, dude, I'm not doing a podcast. He's like, nah, dude. And then he had me come on his podcast, and after that, you dug into my butt pretty good about doing a podcast, and here I am. So
yeah. I mean, we already hit it off, but the more you interview people, like you're 10 in, you'll see the people that they can synthesize information, right? Mm-hmm. Somebody that can get on some, into somebody, personal space. Mm-hmm. they allow you into your personal space, and you have the right questions,
Right.
Comments, and remarks to be able to pull like the best of that answer out. And so like you'll see who can do that and who can't,
Right.
and who can do it better. And when you came on, I instantly knew that we were going to have more than one episode, just because like we had a whole episode after the first one, where we were rolling. And then we did that second one. But you're just somebody that's good at synthesizing, good at open communication, and that was kind of your job, right? You should be good at it.
Yep.
And yeah, dude, I just knew, I'm like, there's not enough Johnnies and Ryans and Jackos to tell all the stories that should be told.
Right.
There's just, for every one story you heard about somebody doing something great or overcoming something great, there's 100, 1,000 other ones that nobody knows about.
Yeah.
And so
those to me are the special ones.
Oh yeah, and so like when we can pull those out and we can show these experiences to other people with cancer, other people who've lost loved ones, other guys who've lost teammates, and you can start to heal through that. There's healing through that, through hearing these other stories and knowing that I'm not alone in this in this endeavor. There's other people are getting through this too, and it's like, for me personally, I look up to people like you, people like moving their community, staying in tune with their communities and still giving back to it. That's inspirational, man. So
to me, and that's what it's all about. Just like when I first started the podcast. So Ryan's sitting there laughing about it, but I called Ryan. I bet you I called him 10 times, and that's being modest.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
We talked a lot. I mean, that's what you got to do.
Yeah, and I was nervous about it because I was worried, but I know you had already, broke that ice and you kind of knew where you were going with it. So
I think the biggest thing is like when you do something like this, at least for me, is like how do you define success?
Exactly. Yep.
I had somebody in my inner circle, I'm not going to say any names, it was motivating and it was moving at the same time. But in the very beginning, when I was going to make my first trip to Louisiana, I had already recorded at home, and now I was going to make the trip to Louisiana to my sponsor's place, record in the gun shop.
Yep.
Get some recordings down there. And I took off, I got this 12-hour drive in front of me. I'm kind of jamming out the music, and this person calls me and they say, you're so motivated and you're so on this, and I don't want to bring the mood down, but like, have you thought about like what's going to happen, or how much this will crush you if it fails?
Right.
And like, that's an honest question.
Oh yeah.
That's an honest question. And the answer was no. Like, I don't think about failing.
Right.
It just never enters my mind. It's just I'm gonna do this, and it's gonna go. But it was an honest question. So when I say I didn't think about failure, no, I don't. But I did have to define, what does success look like? And success to me is like positively impact one person.
That was it right there.
Help one person.
Yep.
Help one family member, one survivor. Help one active duty guy that's still hitting, take a TDG or some kind of help, one time, and that's success.
Right.
And dude, success.
Yeah.
Success doesn't look like money to everybody.
Exactly.
To me, it's not about money.
Yeah.
Success is helping the community, helping our, we got 20 years of dudes that have done real shit, on behalf of people that they'll never know. And those dudes are going to deal with things, and I mean to expose the heroic things that have happened, the best we can. So
it's funny you say that your buddy told you that, because my buddy, I know he's probably watching, Bobby Farmer, and I'll throw his name out there. He's retired now. He'd moved to Hawaii, just living the dream. But he texted me one day and said, "Hey Johnny, give me a call." And I talked to him, and Bobby, his exact words were the same thing you just said. He was like, "Hey, you're gonna have naysayers out there, you're gonna have critics out there, like, what is this guy doing, da, da, da." He said, but at the end of the day, just believe in what you're doing and just keep moving forward. And then I remember you told me the same thing you just said. If you help one, and that was sort of like my motto when I first started. I was like, hey, if one story is shared that one person can get some out of, then by all means, I'm doing the right thing. So
100%, dude.
Yeah.
And blessings, dude.
That's it.
It's like you're putting positive vibes out, to the universe, and I believe that, man. When you put positive out and you impact in a positive way, you're gonna reap that too.
Oh yeah.
So,
and I'm already seeing it, dude. Just like when I had Jackson on here, from Kerr Lake, I had that kid on here, and I was like, yeah, man, I don't even know how many subscribers I got, because I'm I hate computers. I don't do technology. And I just learned how to put a reel out the other day.
Oh.
Checks out. And I did it accidentally. And my daughter calls and she said, you just put a reel out? I was like, what is a reel? And she sends it to me. I'm like, I did that? Well, on Instagram, they sent this thing about make a reel to some music.
And you were like, sweet.
Yeah, I clicked on it because I like the song. It was a country song. I was like, man, that's a good song. And I clicked on it and it says, yeah, hit yes. And then hit publish. And I guess I published a reel, but I was just completely just on the song.
Yeah.
And my daughter's like, oh my God, Dad, don't do nothing else with your phone because you're going to put something on there you shouldn't put on there. And then after that, she kind of showed me how to do a reel. So I did one or two more. And I was like, man, it's pretty cool.
You put some Oliver Anthony on.
Yeah.
I know it.
You know it. I sure did.
I know you're too good.
That's it. But now my boy Ryan here, that's, again, the host of Choice is Not Chance. If you haven't seen it, go check it out because it is a phenomenal podcast. I watch it I like watching podcasts. I don't like listening to them.
Yeah.
That's why I like people coming in the studio because you get to see people's faces. You get to see people's reactions. You know what I mean?
It's just a better, more authentic piece of communication.
Oh, yeah, because you feel it. You feel it.
Yeah.
And so for the viewers out there, my viewers, please go check out Choices Not Chances because it is way, and the guest that Ron's got on there, dude, it's just been impressive. Just impressive military backgrounds of guys that have done, like he said, heroic things that most people won't even see, it won't even be talked about. So you bring that to the light, I think is phenomenal. But one thing I want to say that Ryan has done that, if you guys don't know, he's pretty humble sitting here, but he wrote the book, Lions of Marjah. So what I want to ask Ryan is when you came up with the idea, because me and Ryan, like you said earlier, we're a lot alike. We're country boys. We like to be in the woods with our bows. But whoever thought would told me Ryan Rogers is gonna write a book, I'd have been like, nah, that ain't gonna happen. He might burn up some books, but he ain't gonna write no books. I'm like, that boy can't even read. But what gave you because you definitely inspired me to start the podcast. But what inspired you to actually write? Or I should say, I'm gonna ask you what inspired you to write it, and then I'm gonna ask you another question after that.
Some people aren't gonna like this answer. When I pushed. We were pushing heavy day packs in the invasion. We was going to get our creature comfort items later. So the one thing that I brought on the push with me was a book, and it was Lone Survivor by Marcus Luttrell.
Yep.
Most everybody, who's in that world or enjoys watching things knows of that story.
Yep.
And so that was in Afghanistan, and I'm a young guy. I'm a sergeant. I'm leading the squad. It's not my first squad, but I'm leading the squad about to go into the Badlands, into a bad place. And this guy's already been there. He's fought these people, these exact people, in very close proximity to where I'm going. So it's like, I want to try to pick up everything I can from him. And I thought maybe it'd be, a week or two of material, and I peeled through it in like 4 days. At night, I would just get on it. I couldn't stop. And in the daytime, I was actually fighting these people, and I would say the biggest inspiration is, I had that book and it was fresh in that first few days, but out of 5 deployments, I never got to do Marine shit before.
Right. Yep.
They never took the chains off and said, go get it.
Yeah.
And in this one they did. And so maybe the last time that happened for Marines was maybe Fallujah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then before that, a while, the invasion. Of Iraq, there were there were some things, but I mean, Marines just don't get to do that. That's a once in a lifetime thing, and so as soon as the wild stuff would happen, I had those little Right in the Rain.
Oh yeah,
I had my Right in the Rain.
Right in the Rain, but no little agreements.
Yeah, I pulled them out, and just things that would impact or things that I thought were completely crazy. I'd note them down. I put the date, write a little something about it, and then. After I came home, my eyes weren't clear for a while.
Right.
And I didn't fuck with it. I didn't think about it. And but once I got my eyes clear, got my my thoughts straight, I picked it back up, started writing on it, and but the inspiration was definitely the Marines. Seeing the Marines do what they do, and I was just in awe of that. I wanted to share that with people.
Right.
And at least my kids, I wanted my kids to have something to know what happened.
Yeah, exactly.
I had a great thing I told these guys as soon as we left to come home, on the Freedom Bird. And it hits me now more than it did then, but I told everybody I didn't want people thinking that we were coming home to this grand parade.
Right.
You know, because a lot of times guys will think that. You just did this great shit, this heroic shit, but like nobody in the United States even knows what that city's called.
Oh, yeah.
And most Americans can't even point out Afghanistan on a map.
Right.
And so I had to tell them, hey, nobody's going to fucking know the name of this place.
Right.
So don't get crazy. You know,
Yeah.
we did it right. We all did it right, but don't get crazy because nobody else cares. And, you know, I think maybe that is stronger now than it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, the inspiration's the Marines.
It's funny you just say that, man, because I can't remember what episode I said it on, or maybe it's somebody I was talking to. Just the other day I was talking about, I did a little take on Jason Aldean's country song, you know what I mean? People are going crazy over it. But one thing I said is that I don't think our country needs a 9/11 to that extent. But everybody always asks me, what's my greatest day in our nation's history? And I'm like,
12.
Oh yeah, it was September 12th, 2001. Because September 12th, 2001, we all came together. It wasn't no color. It wasn't where you're from, what class you were, how broke you were, how poor you were. Somebody punched us in the mouth, and everybody wanted retribution. As Americans.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted retribution. You know what I mean? It wasn't like this crap you see on TV. It's like everything I see on TV, when I do watch TV, it's all about race. Or it's all about how do I divide people. How do I do this? How do I put them in a class? How do I do that? How about, let's just all be Americans? Because September 12th, we're all Americans. When I look at anything on the TV about September 11th, you saw white, black, Hispanic, green, Jew, whatever, pulling people out of rubbish. You saw people walking together. You saw people holding hands. You saw people crying together because we got hit and we got hit hard. And it's like, I don't wish nothing bad on our country, but it's almost like we always need something fatal to bring us together. And that's sad.
Well, it's unfortunate, yeah. I mean, everybody was covered in the same ash that day. And it is unfortunate, but I think that's why the mainstream media, I know this sounds, everybody's got their conspiracy theories, this and that, but there's a reason for the division. If all of us got on the same page, what's that look like?
Oh yeah.
And one guy writes one song, and 40 million people want to change things instantly. They better hope that we're not all on the same side.
Exactly. Yep.
Like you've seen the movie Ants, or like a Bug's Life.
Oh yeah.
They got the warrior up. He's the protector.
Oh yeah.
And he's training the new guy, and he's telling the new guy, you got to be hard on him. You got to keep them in their place. And the new guy says something like, well, why? We're so much bigger. He's like, because once they realize how bad they outnumber us and how much power they actually have,
it's over.
Yeah, and I don't want that. I love this country.
Oh, best country in the world.
I want this country to right in its ways, and
the beauty of it is, and I tell people this, when you come from a military background like we came from, you've seen more countries than you can probably remember. I know I have.
Yeah. And
you see like things that happen in other countries that don't happen in our country, and you're like, oh my God, dude, like I would not want to be a part of that. And sad part about it is Americans, a lot of Americans don't get a chance to see the third world hustle or
they don't realize what they have because they've never left it.
Oh yeah.
Like I'll show you oppression.
Oh yeah. I'll show you hunger.
I'll show you somebody's right.
Oh yeah. Because they're taken right away from you.
Oh, dude, yeah.
I know. Yep.
You know what I think about? Like, you're familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? So John Maslow.
Maslow. Yep.
Yeah. So you got the hierarchy of needs, and in this country, because we don't have the trauma from 9/11, let's say, in this country we have a bunch of people that don't have any fucking problems.
Oh yeah.
They've never had a problem, and so they're just trying to improve their little lives with no resistance and no problems. They got my money, I got my food, I got my things in line. Not everybody. I understand that there are underprivileged people that are struggling to get by, but as a people, that's kind of how it is, and it's like, because you have everything you need. And these people over here, they don't even think about the things we think about, because they don't even have their baseline.
Yeah.
So when you want to like judge the other countries like for how they are, it's like they don't even have their basic needs met, which is why they're not thinking about green energy.
Yeah.
So I just feel like sometimes a little adversity and a little reality check is almost needed, and you don't want it to happen. You don't want tragedy to happen, but it's going off the hinges, man.
Yeah.
And there needs to be, some sort of corrections.
Oh, I totally agree with you there, brother. Yeah. Now I got a question. You just said earlier you had to get your eyes clear when you came back right before you wrote the book, Lines of Marjah. And if you guys haven't read it, you need to read it. I'm reading it. I'm not done with it yet, but I'm reading it. Takes me a while to read. You ain't got no pictures in there, bro. This Johnny Glean.
I need no pictures, baby.
Every two pages, I need 5 pages of pictures.
They want to charge me like $1.29 a picture, dude. No, I ain't doing it.
I love it. I love it. Dog turning down a pitch. You can't do that. But what I was going to say is you had to get your eyes clear. To most veterans out there or law enforcement, first responders, we kind of understand what you mean by get your eyes clear. But civilians that don't understand that happen to be watching the show, explain to them what you mean by getting your eyes clear.
Yeah, like, get sober. Get to a place where I wasn't using alcohol for a medicine. For all my Marines out there, I don't care what you think about this. The whole born in a bar, rah, that's what we do. We drink and kill things. Like, we kill things good. We're not usually good after we drink. And, we have an epidemic of veteran suicide going on right now. And if you would let me pull the blood counts of 1,000 random veterans, I'd put paycheck down that says that 80% of those were at toxic levels of alcohol in their system. I'd say the other 20% probably had other illicit drugs, but alcohol is killing our people.
Yes.
They're blacking out. They're taking their own lives, and I don't like that shit.
Yeah.
For me, but I've been there. When I came home, it was almost a motto in 3-6 was to, pickle yourself a little bit more, it'll go away. Get that, to drink a little bit, the nightmares will stop and things like that. And that's not great. It's not great advice. It's absolutely the furthest, in my opinion, from the advice we should be using. We could be way more lethal without alcohol. And, it's like a sport to a Marine. Go out and get, all gummed up and, make it back okay. Like, I remember the days, but had I been sober and looking at my diet and exercising properly and understanding and getting into books to understand the enemy that I was about to face, I'd have been way more lethal.
Right.
But, I didn't. But I'm here to tell people now, don't. It's not worth it. And so I had to go through that. I drank, I did the thing, and then it came to a point where, Leslie, came to me. I had one baby. I'm still on the train to drinking. I had another one on the way, and she basically just said, enough's enough, and if you don't stop, I've never got involved with your work before, but I'm going to go to your command because you got to talk to somebody. You're killing yourself. And so that's what I did. I stopped. I let myself get clear, and that was the great thing, was because when I did that, I was able to write that book from the right place.
Right.
Everything I experienced was no alcohol, no chemical, that was all just raw sensation and emotion, and
Gotcha.
And so I was able to write it better that way. But to all you guys out there, like, it's an issue, dude. It's an issue. Prescription drugs are an issue. Alcohol is an issue. Don't fall victim because somebody said that's the way. That's my piece on that.
So now I got a question for you. Like you just said, you were talking about the suicides, and that's ridiculous. I just saw something the other day. I'm trying to remember the numbers because I don't want to say nothing wrong, but if you just Google veteran suicides a day, and it said deaths in Afghanistan, and don't quote me on this, it was like 7,000 or something for war. And then it said suicide rate of veterans from 2001, and it was like 100 and something thousand. I was like, oh my God, dude. It was just, the numbers were so big, it was crazy.
It's astounding. I don't know what to say about it other than we keep doing the things that we can do to get people. I think the biggest thing that I push, especially on my podcast platform, is purpose, man. A lot of people, I said it to somebody I was talking to out on the golf course today, is like, let's say you're 18 like I was, and you join, right? You come in at 18, pumping your chest for your country. You go and you do a bunch of bad shit, but it's for your country. And from 18 until when you retire, unbeknownst to your thoughts at the time, but you are giving yourself and your efforts to something bigger than yourself.
Right.
You are supporting a team, a country on a monumental level. You are giving to something higher than self. And when I got out, I needed to reinstill purpose. I had to find something, because the day I got out, it was there, this void. I think the subconscious, recognizes this. And I think a lot of guys, even when they're like, I don't even know why I have these issues because I didn't really even do anything. It's like, but you were given for 18, 20 years of your life, you gave yourself selflessly to people who won't even know your name. And you'll never get a thank you. And you knew that. And that's what you did. You offered your bounty for these people selflessly, and now you're not. Now you're sitting at home playing Xbox, or now you're sitting at home doing nothing. You're not you don't have a purpose.
Right.
And I think when a guy loses, in my opinion, you take my purpose away, that's worse than any amputation.
Oh, yeah.
That's worse than any limb you could take from me. You amputated my soul. I don't have a purpose.
Yeah.
And so I preach to find a purpose, man. Just give back. Just start by giving back. You know, and I think that you know, together, as we all kind of evolve together and learn that, you know, maybe we should be talking. Maybe we should be sharing about certain subjects that we're told not to. You know, all the way growing up, I was told you don't ask a war veteran about killing or about anything. You just shut your mouth, and if they talk, and you know.
Why not just ask?
Well, and like I don't know where it came from. And now it's like I wish people would. I'm glad you want to know what it's like because I don't want you to ever experience it, but you should know what it's like, and you should know what my 18-year-old friends did for you. You should know at least a little bit if you're an American. And so your show and, you know, my show and different shows out there to talk about that purpose and talk about, you don't have to go through, you know, the searching efforts that we all do to find this piece. I'm telling you, try this.
Is there?
He's telling you, try this. You can find a bunch of different try thises in these shows and try them, you know, and don't waste the time on the bottle and on drugs and, you know, VA prescripted medicine. It ain't the answer.
So now when you went to your command, I'm going to back up a little bit. When you went to your command, because I know where I was in 3rd Special Forces Group, and we had some great commanders, love the commanders. And I'm not going to say it was the commander, it was more so the individuals themselves. But it was always a stigmatism. Like if you went to go tell someone, hey man, I need a break. Hey man, I need to go to the schoolhouse for a little while. That was frowned upon. I'm not going to say it was frowned upon, but you would look weak. Let's just be honest. You look weak. Or if you missed a deployment, you're weak. When you went to your command, when you knew like, hey, Leslie talked to you, knew you had a problem, was there any repercussions? Did you get any like flack back from the command or the guys in the company? Did anybody look at you like, what the hell?
It's not good in the Marine Corps, man.
Oh, okay.
If you're broke, you know how it is. If you're broke, and like we don't have the luxury of being a highly dollar invested in team guy.
Right.
So like it's just, you know,
just a number.
Get a new cog, put it in there. And I understand why it's that way, and maybe that's the way, but
See, I see a lot of shirts that say people are more important than hardware. I see it all the time. I see it on license plate. I see it stickers. I see T-shirts. People are more important than hardware. People are more important than hardware. But in the military, it's a business. Just like you just said, you pull one card out, you put another one in there. You pull one plug out, you plug it with something else. Then what ends up happening is, just like when I retired and all my buddies that retired prior to me, and I'm pretty sure the same in the Marine Corps, like you just said, it's purpose. But with us, it's identity. Everybody know JMFG is JMFG. And the day I realized I was retiring, I was like, oh my God, dude, like, you know, for 20-something years, I've been in 3rd Special Forces Group. I've been a Green Beret this whole time.
Your whole identity's been
my whole identity. And then it just got ripped apart from it. I'm like, oh my God, I'm a nobody now. I'm just a regular Walmart greeter. And then you go somewhere and you're talking to people and they're talking about, oh, my job is this, and I'm the CFO of this, and I'm the this, and this. And I'm sitting, I'm like, dude, I've written security plans for countries. I've spoken to Democrat. I've spoken to the Secretary of Defense, you know, writing out security plans for, you know, these different countries. And you're in charge of something you think you're important. I'm like, but you're not important. So I think when guys, like you say, selflessly, you give and you give and you give, and then you realize you've given all you can give, now you retire, they don't have purpose, one. And two, you totally lose identity.
Well, I think you can. And I think, you know, one of my mentors said this, and he's a stacked warfighting Marine, Lieutenant Colonel. And he said, man, if the greatest thing you could put on my headstone at the end of the day, after what, let's say 30 years, if I gave 30 full years, if the greatest thing you could say is that I was a United States Marine and I fought in some wars, then I fucked up.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know, I needed to hear that because my identity was a warfighter, dude. I was a regular infantry, you know, 0311, what I wanted to do, what I want to be, and we did it. And that's my identity until I got out. And it's like, no, you're right. You know, because it'd be way more monumental if I, you know, I could write and use my experiences to help train this next group to be more lethal and help transition this past group. You know, if you don't ever see anybody that looks like you make it, you've heard this.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, if you don't see anybody that went to the countries you went to and fought in the shithole that you fought in, and you don't see them make it, then what hope do you have, especially when the demons are at the door, dude? You don't see one dude that made it? that was with you. And like, there's a lot of us like that.
Oh, yeah.
And most of us have lost more people outside of combat than we have inside of combat.
That's a fact.
And so, like, these interactions and these shows and situations, they breathe hope into the sails of dudes that are hurting, you know. And I've got testimonies that I've got guys that message me every couple of days. I get a new
Same here, brother.
message from either someone I didn't know, somebody I do know.
Yeah.
And when I was at Campbell 32 days, and I had 4 people reach out. One of them was a Austin, Texas resource center, and they said they had a veteran on the edge of killing himself, and they were risking HIPAA because somebody said, "Hey, you need to try Ryan Rogers."
Yeah, I feel you, brother.
I talked to this kid for like 2 hours, and you know, he's a kid that just sits. You know, a kid. He's a man. You know, he went to Iraq and not even in the infantry, and he'd tell you that. I don't even know why I'm fucked up. You know.
Yeah.
Say, you know, he had some close mortars come in, and you know, close to the camp, rocked his head. And I'm like, well, TBI, man, like, you don't have to be in the fight. You get rocked, bro. They don't know what it does, you know. I loved killing the enemy. I got rocked. It messed my head up. Like, I had anxiety I never had before. I had sleeplessness I never had before. You know, these head injuries are different. So I talked to this kid, and, you know, when I first talked to him, he didn't want to give me his name. He didn't want to give me, you know, where he was at. He wanted to kill himself. And, I tell you right now, I'm not cut out for that, but I'm never going to turn my back on somebody that needs help. And so I talk and talk, and by the end of it, man, we had an action plan on a whiteboard. You know, he was dumping alcohol out, and you know, I don't know if that kid's going to stay with it. Yeah. But that for me was like, I got to keep doing this.
That's successful.
Damn the money, damn the fame, nothing like that. If I keep getting calls like that, where I can help say, hey, look, I've been there, dude. We got to fix it. We can fix it together. That's my new logo. Is Simul Fortior is Latin for stronger together. Yeah. And we need people, dude. I tried the alone thing. Yeah. I tried the seclude thing.
Doesn't work.
Got worse and worse and worse. And we're here for we're a pack animal, man. We're supposed to have people around us.
Well, that's just like today when we golf. You think about it, and that's what I always tell Brad. What he does for veterans, he has no clue. I try to tell him all the time.
Oh, dude, I tell him as much as I can. He knows,
but he don't know.
He knows from what we say, but no, it's not something you can even express in words. What organizations like that do. People, and he's just that authentic motherfucker. Oh yeah, he is. Brad is just, shout out Brad Clayton.
Yep. And I want to send a shout, since we mentioned Brad Clayton, I want to send a shout out today to Chris Little.
Oh yeah, big shout out Chris Little.
Chris Little, for everybody's watching the show, don't know him. If you haven't ever played it, I don't know if it's a public golf course or not. Pound Wild Golf Course is not.
No, it's private.
Is it private? All right, well, email Chris Little, and he's a great guy. He'll figure out a way probably to get you on the course. Probably cost you a lot of money, but he'll get you on there. But Chris Little, I want to send a shout out to you. I know I've told you. I know guys from Brotherhood have told you what you do for us and for everybody on this show. I want to tell you the type of Americans we have out there. Chris Little, he is the manager of the Pound Wall Golf Course right there in Pinehurst. And every year, Chris Little allows us to come out there and play golf pretty much the whole summer.
For almost a decade straight.
For almost a decade straight. And he don't ask us for nothing. He feeds us. He brings us out there. And he just, like, hey, I want to thank you guys.
Yeah, he puts out.
And he puts out. And it's amazing. What people don't understand, most people that are, like, in our shoes or whatever, whether they're veterans, law enforcement, first responders or whatever, they don't want money. They don't want handouts. They just want people to just be, like, just to talk to, have a conversation with. Like, just to... We're normal people. And every year Chris brings us out the golf course. There's 2 different courses. I think there's Magnolia on one side and Holly and Magnolia. Well, Magnolia's open to the civilian side, then Holly's closed for us. Yeah. And this guy opens his door for us. We get to go in his house, eat food, and we just
go
talk.
To his place.
Go to his place and just a true, like I said, a true American. Like, just, hey guys, we'll have a good time. I want you guys to have a good time. Yep. You don't owe me nothing. And it's just so, Chris Little, I know we send emails, we tell you all the time, but I want to take time, sending a shout out to Brad, but to tell you, hey, thank you for what you're doing, because what guys don't realize, and I see this every time the Brotherhood gets together, you see the guys that are struggling, because we're all struggling, but when we look at each other, we look normal. But when you get on that golf course, you're out there for 18 holes, the conversation that went on my golf course today, or with my group, is just amazing. Yeah. Just to hear guys talk about, like, man, my wife's mad at me about this. And they'll be like, hey, man, I've been there. You know, I'm divorced. Don't do X, Y, and Z. Because you end up like me eating Vienna sausages and, you know, going to Ryan's house asking Leslie to cook dinner for you because you're hungry. So try X, Y, and Z. And then guys are like, yeah, man, I'm going to try that, Johnny. But what that does to guys is let them know they're not alone.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
You know, you're not alone. Just like one guy today was talking about, you know, just finance. I said, look, dude, you think you only got to live check to check, bro? I said, I live check to check. I said, what's wrong with it?
90% of America.
Hey, 90% of America live check to check. There's nothing wrong with it. Yeah, man, but I got to do this, I got to do that. Then let's come up with a plan.
Action plan, baby.
Just come up with an action plan, dude. But don't think you're the only person out there that's waiting to payday to get paid.
And don't be the guy that because you think you're the only person out there, you don't ever ask for help from anybody in your circle. Like a lot of guys will be afraid to say, you know, hey, I got a pill problem. Hey, I got an alcohol problem. Hey, I got a finance problem. Especially the people they're close to.
Oh, yeah.
And they might be the perfect dudes to help you. You know what I mean? Get over it. Get help. Yeah.
And that's why I tell guys, you know, like, hey, dude, just reach out. You know what I mean? Like, I know you'll help. I'll help. Let's just help dudes, man. You know, and that's where the whole it takes a village, I think. And that's what with the Brotherhood of Warriors. And I try to tell Brad this all the time. I talk to Brad all the time about it. It's not that you're helping us through. Don't get me wrong. The golf helps. But what I think really helping us is you're putting like-minded guys around each other that can actually start talking, and you build them camaraderie, and it comes back to what you just said. Now you've got a purpose. You mean now you've got an identity. Just like when we go out to the golf course, I know I'm probably the worst player in the Brotherhood. Nah, dude, you got me beat. No, actually, I do got you beat. Mike got us beat. What's his name? Michael. I hope he's watching. Mike Cow. Is it Mike Cowler? Mike suck. Hey, Mike, if you get it, Mike suck. I know I suck. Good Lord, Mike really suck. But the fact that we're coming out there, we got a purpose now.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, we all laugh, we joke, and talk about how jacked up. But you did get best to the pin today, close to the pin. So I got me a shout out.
You know when he said Ryan Rogers, you said fuck that motherfucker because I already got two of them bitches on closest to the pin.
He don't get none. He don't get one. But in the day,
no, it's dope though.
Yeah, it's good. Here. Oh, it's going up here. I'm probably gonna either put it right there, somewhere back over there.
Yeah.
But what I want to say though is like with Chris Little, thank you again. Shout out to Chris, and then Chris from South Africa too. So,
yeah, dude, he's awesome.
He's awesome. So. Shout out to you, Chris, if you're watching this again, man. I know we told you today. Thank you for the hot dogs. And then, what was his buddy that was cooking on the grill today?
Bernie.
Yep.
Shout out, Bernie.
Sorry, Bernie. Couldn't remember his name. I just talked to him earlier. But those guys every year, man, they welcome us in, arms wide open. I just do a little creed out there, arms wide open. Arms wide open. Yeah. So they bring us in, you know, and they show us love. And they basically just let us be us, man.
Yeah, man. They do. Every year. It's an event I look forward to every year.
Oh, yeah.
Last week's is a big one.
Yep.
You know.
And that's 2 days of us playing on that golf course, having a good time, going out after that, going to the lake, getting some hot dogs, you know, and that's just kind of what we do. So, and that's kind of what we like to do. So for anybody watching this show, hey, it's a JMFG podcast. I got my guest right here, Ron Rogers. He's the host of Choices Not Chances podcast. You just heard Ryan say it, you heard me say it. Veterans, first responders, law enforcement, teachers, I don't care who you are. You know what I mean? I don't care what your background is. Dude, if you need help, seek help. And if you feel embarrassed about it, just call people that have been there.
Yep.
And we will talk to you. You will not get turned down. I've set my phone number on almost every episode, 919-353-9310. I think you can call me collect. Probably not, because I got one of them pay as you go. Yeah, I got one of them pay as you go phones. So you might can't call me collect, but text me. I can get text. But if you got problems, seriously, you know, we joke around because we like to have fun. But if you guys got problems and you know, like, hey, I got an issue, but, you know, and you know you got an issue. You know it.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
It's just like my dad used to always tell me, there's two things a man know. When somebody owe you money and when you owe somebody money.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like having a problem. You know, just like, for the most part, all of us got addictive personalities.
Yeah.
We are.
Well, I mean, you got alpha people. You're going. I mean, it ain't betas going to war. You got alphas going to war, and that's that strong-minded, addictive, take it to the limit, you know, personalities, and that works great in war.
Yeah,
it just works shit in transition sometimes.
Yeah, because
especially if you're not doing it right.
Oh yeah, and that's where I think we're going wrong at. I think we're trying to do it right, but I'm not going to blame it all on the system or the VA or whoever. Because a lot of that, it falls back on us too to step up to the plate and say, hey, look, I got a problem. Hey, look, I need to do this. But like you just said, when guys do that, in your environment, my environment, your environment, what ends up happening is that guy gets shunned away.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he's hurt. Let's feed him to the wolves. We don't need you anymore. You know what I mean? We've got all we can out of you.
Yeah.
Now you're broken. We're gonna well, why not just bring that guy back in, make him feel a part of something, and say, hey, look, man, we understand because of health reasons you can't do A, B, and C, but X, Y, and Z, like you just said, give him back. Just like when I go train with Marjah, or I go train with Green Berets, or when I go train with guys now, it's not quite as much fulfillment, but it feels great. I just got a text today. I went and trained with some Canadian Special Forces guys. I got a text today from a kid that was actually doing support. And he said, hey, Johnny Glenn, I just want to thank you for everything you did for us. And we called him Riptide. So Riptide, if you're watching this, I'm sending you a shout out. Wow. And I told him, I said, hey, Riptide was young in his career. He's only been in for like a year and a half, 2 years. I go, hey, man, why don't you go do it with these guys? And he's like, oh, I don't know if I can do it. I said, why? I said, don't limit yourself, dude. Because you can look at him and tell he's got the potential. And he said, you know what? He texted me today and said, hey, I got a year and I get to go try for, the Canadian Special.
That's one right there.
I texted him back. Boom. I said, I've reached one. I said, that's awesome. He said, yeah, I've been watching your podcast. I said, dude, that's good stuff.
Yeah, man.
But it's just like right there, man. Just to be able to give back and to hear that. And when I hear people like Chris Little say today, I watch your podcast, John, and I love it. Just keep doing what you're doing. And so, again, like the show started, I want to thank you for that, brother.
Yeah, dude, I'm glad. I thank you for doing it. Thank you for putting it together because I enjoy it. Dude, all I watch is podcasts. So I love it. I love watching my friends and learning about friends. Like I had, I know you had Shrek on recently, and I had Shrek on in my show, and I had been knowing Shrek like 4 years.
I didn't even know his real name, dude. It was crazy.
Yeah. I've been knowing Shrek like 4 years, and this motherfucker starts talking about his life, man. And I've been his friend.
And the welfare cheese? I know, dude.
I've been his, we got deep, him talking about taking care of his mom and just having to grow up at such a young age. Like, I've been this dude's friend for 4.5 years, been sitting across tables from him in sessions, and fishing,
never knew it.
Fishing and all this stuff. Bro, I just sat on the other end of the table and cried.
Yeah.
I've been knowing this dude this long, and I knew nothing about my friend.
Same here.
So that's another thing about these podcasts, man. People forgot how to talk to each other. They forgot what a conversation was.
Right.
And that's what I love is like, Joe Rogan said it. I'd take the words out of his mouth. He said, people don't sit down for 2, 3, 4 hours and just talk to each other. Mm-hmm. Nobody does anymore. Yeah. And when you do it, it's cathartic, man. I had guys on my show come on and just go deep, and have some emotions and have some feelings, but at the end of it, give me a big hug and say, man, I'm so glad we did this. It does something. So
Thomas did the same thing, man. Thomas did the same thing.
Yeah, man.
Just unloading that dude. I was like, hey, man.
And that's another thing. Like, I think a lot of people need it and don't even know they need it. And then it starts, and it's just like, so.
I've been on airplanes, man, with older women or older men, and they'll start talking. As tired as I be, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna listen to them. And just to hear their stories, man, and it's like, okay, cool. Because sometimes people don't need help; they just need an ear.
Yeah, dude.
They just need somebody to talk to.
And their life doesn't allow them that.
No.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny you say an airplane, man. When I did that scholarship in Kentucky last year, I told you about the T.S. Newman Hansen Scholarship, and I'm on my way back from that, and this guy was sitting next to me. You could tell he was like, a very kind of a guy, right?
Yep.
And we're sitting there. And finally looks down and said, man, I see your bracelet. You're a Marine? And I told him, I said, I'm a Marine. He said, I was a Marine. And I said, yeah? He said, yeah. Did 5 years, was in the artillery. He's like, I fucking loved it. And then he went straight back to looking forward. And bro, he starts going down. He's like, then I got out. I started working Wall Street, doing the thing. He's like, is it great? Yep. Do I have $1.5 million house? Yep. Do I make tons of money? Yep. And he looked over at me, his eyes are welling up. He said, best fucking years of my life was in the Marines with his boys. Mm-hmm. And I thought, God dang, man, I don't know this guy, but I guess he wanted to talk.
He just wanted to get it off.
Yeah, man. But maybe that's him. Maybe he just needs to, I think that's everybody. Everybody needs to be heard a little bit. But
yeah. And that's why I like the shows too, man. Just people come on and just tell their stories.
Yeah, man.
Because it's just like what's the saying? One guy's trash is another man's treasures.
Oh yeah.
It's just like the stories, man. Like you said, when I get these texts, like that text I got today, man, we were golfing. Yeah. Dude, that meant a lot to me to hear that kid say, "Hey, I'm going to try out for the Canadian Special Forces." I'm like, heck yeah, dude, you do that, man.
Impact made.
Impact made. Yep. Mm-hmm. Impact made.
And you never know what happens. He goes in Special Forces. 2 years down the road, he's at war somewhere. Save somebody.
Yeah. Because that's where he's meant to be.
Take somebody out. That's great.
It. That's what it's all about, brother. But hey, man, I got to thank my boy Ryan Rogers for coming in today. I know you got a long drive. You got to get back to Camp in June. I actually got to go to Pennsylvania, so we both gonna be on the road tonight.
I've been calling you when I'm tired.
And I'll be calling you when I'm tired. But hey, for all the listeners, I want to send a big shout out to you guys again. Thank you for all the support that you've given the JMFG podcast. And like I said before on this show, we're just making families greater, one story at a time. We're helping through sharing. So, hey, leave your comments. Go, please, look up Choices Not Chances. I'm on my boy Ryan's podcast 3 times now. I thought it was only 2, but it shows them TBIs kicking in. Then I can't. Yeah. But hey, I want to thank you, dude, for coming to the studio.
Always, man.
It was good times.
You having me on.
Oh yeah, always,
honor and a pleasure.
Heck yeah.
I look forward to more in the future, man. We keep changing lives together. And hey, look, man, if you don't have a purpose, find your purpose. You know, start by giving back. Start by getting your knowledge base up, and you know, do something you love, something you have passion for, because. You could do anything else, and you will never have the same. You never dedicate the same effort to it.
Yep.
So find what you love, and then find out how to make that work for you.
So, what I would say, following that up, one thing I'll say, my dad used to always say, "Love what you do what you love, and you'll never work a day of your life."
Never work a day in your life.
He used to tell me that all the time, and now, man, it's like, this is. I don't get paid to do this, but I'm saying, it's so my lights get cut off. Hey, we'll be doing it in the dark, but. I love doing
best job I ever had.
Best job I ever had. The military, best job I ever had. And then, like you said, I found this purpose.
Close second.
And now it's close second.
I
Yes,
feel
sir.
You, baby. I feel you.
But anyways, thanks again, brother. And that's it. JMFG, we're out. That's going to be awesome, brother. Hell yeah. Appreciate you.